Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the SAT and specifically how to find the main idea of those fiction and nonfiction passages. So we'll look at three things. The first being how to find the main idea, where to find it. The second being the author's purpose in writing that text. And the third being how do you find the evidence to support those claims, which line numbers. All right, so you should have your SAT books in front of you, the big blue ones, and let's dive in. Reading question types today. First, where to find the main idea. Second, the author's purpose in writing the text, which ties closely to the main idea. And then paired questions, where you have to answer a question and then find the evidence for your answer to support your answer. All right, so let's talk about how to find the main idea. We're going to go through each of these individually. So first off, you want to find the thesis. In a fiction passage, which we're going to start with, there's not really a clear thesis, but like with a nonfiction passage, you'll have a somewhat of a thesis in the main idea, in the first paragraph. So you want to first just check the opening paragraph to see the main idea. And we're going to start with the reading test. We're on passage 1 from test 1 in your SAT books. This is on page 1196. If you wanted to follow along, 1196. And just to give you a background, you don't have to read the story yet, but we have three characters. We have Akira, who's a guy. We have Naomi, who Akira is trying to marry. She's a girl. And we have Chia, Chie, Chia, who is the mom of Naomi. So Akira, the guy, has to ask Naomi's mom, Chia, for Naomi's hand in marriage. So we have a guy asking a mom to marry the daughter. And we're in 1920s Japan. All right. So first step is you always want to read this little preface material. It'll just show you things like the fact that we are in 1920s Japan. All right, and then you're looking in the introduction to find the main idea, where you usually find a thesis. And the thesis is typically the last sentence of your introduction. And this says, had he followed form, had he asked his mother to speak to his father to approach a go-between, would Chia have been more receptive? So ignore all of that. Really what we're looking at is, would Chia have been more receptive? So Akira came, and he asked Chia for her daughter's hand in marriage, and you can kind of figure it out from this question. She said no, because he's wondering, if I had done something differently, would she have been receptive? All right, so based off of the thesis, we know it's something to do with how Chia rejected Akira. All right, we also want to look for repetition, so things that are repeated. So we have a couple questions here. You see the question mark here. You see the question mark here. So you can say, all right, he's using repetitive questions. So he's saying, was that it? Had he followed form, would Chia have been more receptive? So this guy is heartbroken. He's wondering, all right, what could I have done in Chia that may have made Chia agree to the marriage? All right, we also have a couple examples of repetition later throughout the passage, but I think you get the idea, where it's just a lot of asking her for the hand in marriage. All right, so you got those. Figurative language. You guys had figurative language drilled into you if you were in my 9th grade class, but I'm sure a lot of you guys can pick up on similes, on metaphors, on imagery. If you need any review of that, parallel structure, syntax, we can go over that during my office hours. But figurative language, the easiest one, in my opinion, to notice is the repetition. That's an example of figurative language. But also just the vivid descriptive imagery, where you see all 5 senses at work. And you can see that in the second paragraph here, with Chia heard her soft scuttling footsteps, the creak of the door. Super descriptive. You can hear the soft scuttling footsteps. There's a lot of noise, and so they're really focusing in on that. And so you know that there's going to be a really important moment. And the moment right after here is where Akira is asking Chie for her daughter's hand in marriage. All right, and then the last one is you want to pick up on any contrast or contradictions. So contrast is when two things are going against each other. And then contradiction is where you expect one thing to happen, but something else happens. So as you can probably guess here, the contradiction is that you expect, or Chie at least expects, Akira expects Chie to be receptive, and she's not. She rejects him. So that's also the contrast here. And so, where are we? Well, he apologizes, so you know he's getting rejected here. But even Chie waited for Naomi's ripe laughter, but Naomi was silent. So we get a little clarity in the main idea that she's upset at the end too. And there's another good point here. Well, he startled her. Akira has startled Chie, so you know it's not going to go so well. And then even this too, like, where did you meet such a fellow? Chie is saying to her daughter Naomi. Imagine, he thinks he can marry the Fuji heir and take her to America, all in the snap of his fingers. So that goes against what Akira is doing. Akira is saying, hey, can I have your daughter's hand in marriage? And Chie is kind of making fun of him. All right, so then based on all those 4 ways to find the main idea of a text, let's look at the first question. So the first question on the SAT for each reading passage usually asks you to describe what happens in the passage, the main idea. They might word it differently, but the first question 4 to 5 times is typically, what is the main idea of the passage? All right, so let's look at these. A, one character argues with another character who intrudes on her home. We didn't talk about anything about intruding. We didn't talk about anything about, we didn't mention anything about arguing. Whoops. So it's not going to be intrudes. Oops, sorry. It's not going to be argues. So B, one character receives a surprising request from another character. All right, well, we found some contradictions and some contrasts, so that's definitely surprising. That shows the surprise that Chie felt. And we see a request from Akira, and his request is, can I marry your daughter? All right, C, one character reminisces about choices she has made. We're talking about Akira. We're not talking about Chie, really. So it's not going to be she. It's not going to be C. And it's not reminiscing. Even if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. It's not she has made over the years. We didn't talk... Jeez, I'm still getting used to this. We didn't talk about over the years happening. All right, and then one character criticizes another character for pursuing an unexpected course of action. Yeah, I mean, potentially, you have criticism here. So then it's either going to be B or it's going to be D. So then was more of the focus on the surprising request or on the criticism? Well, we saw the surprising request right from the beginning. So we saw it in the, where we'd expect to see the thesis. We saw the repetition of that right away. We saw that in the figurative language of the surprising request right before he asks her for the hand in marriage. So it's B. D isn't bad, but B is the better answer here because it hits on more of our main idea criteria. Good. All right, so next off, author's purpose. I can't stress this enough. For the author's purpose, just tie it to the main idea. So author's purpose questions are like number 7. The main purpose of the first paragraph is to... So if it's going to say the main purpose, you know it's going to be a main idea question. If you know it's saying, hey, why is the author doing this? It's a main idea question. So it's usually going to have the words purpose or why is the author doing something in this. Good. And then your job is just to tie it to the main idea. So we know the main idea is that this surprising request happens. So the main purpose of the first paragraph, let's look at it. So the first paragraph here, Akira came directly, breaking all tradition. Was that it? Had he followed form? Had he asked to go to his mother, to speak to his father, to approach a go-between? Would Chiya have been more receptive? So it's that questioning. Would Chiya have been more receptive? Could he have done something differently? And then in number 7, A, describe a culture. Sure, it describes a culture, and all my students pick this, and it drives me crazy. But he's not, the purpose here isn't describing a culture because it doesn't tie to the main idea. The purpose here is not about the 1920s Japan. Yeah, we're in 1920s Japan, and there's cultural elements to it. And if you're not a 1920s Japanese person, you might pick up on that, or you might focus on that. But the main idea wasn't that. B, criticize the tradition. We're not focused on the criticizing. We're focused more on the questioning. So let's check out C. So question a suggestion. Potentially. But again, the main idea isn't like this questioning. It happens in the beginning. But the main idea is that interaction between Chiya and Akira. And there's no suggestion in that first paragraph. So this one's D. Just analyze a reaction. He says over and over in that first paragraph, should he have done something different because she acted a certain way? Would she have been more receptive? And that ties to the main idea, which is that Chiya rejected Akira. So that's analyzing the reaction. So 7 is D. All right, and then last one for today is how to answer the paired questions. So anytime you come across a question on the SAT, like number 4, which reaction does Akira most fear from Chiya? You want to flip down to number 5, or the next one, and if it says which choice provides the best evidence for the previous question, then you know they're a paired set of questions. And the way to approach this, and I cannot stress this enough, it's the most important, is to go to question 4, go to the first question, read the question, which reaction does Akira most fear from Chiya? Ignore the rest of 4. You're just looking at the question. So which reaction does Akira fear from Chiya? Go to number 5. And now you're finding the evidence for where it even talks about Akira fearing from Chiya. So let's check this out. So line 33, his voice was soft, refined. Line 33 is literally just his voice was soft, refined. It says nothing about Akira or Chiya's interaction. All right, jumping back to number 5. So lines 49 to 51. And again, we're just looking for the reaction that Akira fears from Chiya. 49 to 51. You know how children speak so earnestly, so hurriedly, so endearingly about things that have no importance in an adult's mind? But that's how she viewed him. And we're looking at how Chiya viewed Akira. How Akira viewed Chiya, not how Chiya viewed Akira. All right. So then 63 to 64. 63 to 64. So this is Akira speaking. Please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. Okay. So looking at here, starts with please, ends with proposal. Please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. Which reaction does Akira most fear from Chiya? Well, that she's going to judge him on the unseemliness. So then we know it's C here. We can check out D, but it doesn't work. So we know it's C. And then the reaction is that unseemliness and that judging of the proposal. So you see the word proposal in both. You see inappropriate. Whoops. Because she says unseemly. Even if you don't know the word unseemly, you know it's bad. Unseemly, it doesn't seem good. And it says the word proposal. And we're talking about Chiya and how she's going to consider it inappropriate. And also that ties to the main idea, so that's probably your answer. So good. So that's how you approach the paired questions. I'll let you guys try a couple more on your own. If you try number 9 and 10, those are paired questions. So we're looking at, why does Akira say his meeting with Chia is a matter of urgency? And then you'll go down and look for the line numbers that support that. You can also try number 2, which is another main idea type question. And then questions like number 3, which are more vocab questions, we're going to talk about in our next video, as well as questions like number 6, and number 8 is another vocab question. But try those two, the main idea type question for number 2, and number 9 and 10, which are the paired questions. Yeah, I'll be posting another video for later in the week that deals with the other type of reading questions. And if you have any questions, shoot me an email or come see me during the posted office hours this week. I'll be in Zoom video chat, and so we can have a chat. All right, guys, thanks so much. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying healthy during this coronavirus, and hope you have enough toilet paper. All right, bye, guys.